Hi, Peter Charles here from Hooked for Life Fly Fishing. And today let's tie the Collie Dog, but we're going to tie a variant. There's a number of variants of the Collie Dog. One is an Irish variant, and I'm going to do the Peter Charles variant of the Irish variant of the Collie Dog. And I'm going to aim this more at steelhead than Atlantic salmon. So we're going to make a few changes to make it more of a steelhead type of fly. So that first starts with the tube I'm using. Typically, a Collie Dog would be tied on a plastic tube like this, about 3/4 of an inch long, thereabouts, in that ballpark. Well, I'm not doing that. Instead, I've got a tube that looks like this, which I've made. It's a plastic tube with a copper liner that's been put over the top of it to front-end weight it. Because one of the problems I've found with flies that have very long wings is that you can get separation between the wing and the hook. So you've got this heavy hook that wants to sag downwards. So by having a tube with copper at the front and plastic at the back, you weight the front so it rides more level. And I've got a video on that. Now we're going to add something else to this. We've got these colored junction tubing that's put out by Canadian Tube Fly. I can put that on the end of this tube and I can pick whatever color I want. It becomes an accent color. And it becomes a strike trigger for the steelhead. If you've got a bright red or a bright orange or whatever it is on the end of your junction tubing, and you've got a big swath of it, it becomes an aiming point, and that's where your hook is. So that's where you want them to hit. So not only does the hook ride close to the wing, it rides further back than it would be in a normal Collie Dog, and you've got a strike trigger back there as well. So I've put one of these tubes in the vise, and you can see I've buried the plastic part right in the vise. And I've got a mandrel on here to give it a bit of support. Now, as far as thread is concerned, I'm in a rot here. I'm still using the same 6/0 black Vivas. We're going to be using gold Mylar in the large size 10. The wing is going to be black goat. I'm trying to pick some really nice straight stuff. And the throat is going to be red saddle hackle. So let's get started. Now this Mylar is gold silver, so I want to use gold this time. So I'm going to tie the Mylar in on top, gold silver up. As usual, keep it on top, wind it back, then wind it forward. Okay, we're going to put a turn right at the back so we hide most of that copper. Then we're going to come forward and touching turns, don't let any copper show through. Keep it nice and tight. Make it bite into those wraps of thread. A bit of a gap there. There we go. Let's finish that off. Okay, now we're going to get our goat hair, and we want a nice straight long clump, as you can see. Now this stuff has a natural bend to it, so we want that natural bend facing down. And be about that length. You can keep it fairly long if you want. The Collie Dog has a long wing, so let's keep it like about there. Let's trim this off. Try and finish that up without making too much of a mess. Bring your thread to the back, and some soft wraps at the back just to have that wing sit down. It doesn't point up at an angle. Now for our throat, and as I've said before in other videos, you don't want a really bulky throat on a tube fly, because it can cause the fly to flip on its side when you pull it through, especially through faster currents. So I am not going to go gung-ho with this throat. It's just a splash of color. Make sure it's centered. So finish off with some soft wraps at the back just to keep that all in place. And if you've got some stray hairs, pull them out. Got a couple of strays in there they didn't want to lay down. Okay, now we can whip finish. Okay, now for our head cement. Now for some top coat. Okay, there's our steelhead variant of the Collie Dog. Puts the hook further back, it puts weight at the front, so it keeps the wing and the hook together and doesn't allow them to separate, because with steelhead they're notorious tail nippers. When we put this colored junction tubing at the back, we have the greater possibility that the steelhead will strike the hook because they see the bright color. And you've got something that's going to move really well in water, look very seductive, and I think will be a great pattern in heavier flows. When you really want to penetrate, you want to get the fly down in heavier flows, but in that turbulent current, that wing is going to really kick around. I think this particular pattern will be less effective in, you know, these moderate smooth flows where there isn't a lot of movement in the water. But I think when you've got some really turbulent flows, this thing will look dynamite in the water. And with that copper at the front, it'll dig down. And you'll be able to get it down, keep it down on the end of your sink tips, and get it where the fish are. So give it a try, the variant of the Collie Dog. Cheers.